Hey guys, this is Kerry, and in this video we're going to be making some of our own algorithms to solve some problems. So taking a look at each of these problems, it looks like we're going to be creating a program for each one of them. So for problem 1, I'm going to just create a file called problem1.html. I'm going to give it a save. And then for part A, it says, without using a computer, find the smallest number in the list of numbers, in this list of numbers. So hopefully, or pause here, do that. Now, hopefully, as you did that, you got an idea for like what's the algorithm that you as a person are actually using to find the smallest number here. And I'm trying to highlight what my algorithm was, which is that I looked through it number by number, trying to keep track of what the current smallest was. So for me, when I try to program that, what it's going to look like is something like this. So we're going to generate the basic HTML. I'm going to import in the AP tools from the toolbox. I'm going to create my own script tags, so now I'm ready to start programming my own JavaScript. And then it says to write an algorithm to find the smallest number in a list of numbers. Title your algorithm, find smallest from the number list. So to do that, we're going to use this piece of JavaScript to define a function. So we've got our function here. Now the name of my function is supposed to be find smallest, and in order to find the smallest of something, I have to give it a number list. So I'm going to give it one parameter, which is a list of numbers. So the way that I thought about this problem is when I start off looking at this list, if it's only one element, then the first element is the smallest. So I'm going to say let current smallest equal the first element. So to get the first element from a list, you say go to that number list and get the thing with index 1. And this is a little bit inaccurate for JavaScript if you're coming from outside of the class, but I'm using the syntax from the AP programming language, so that's why I'm starting with 1. If you don't understand what I'm saying, don't worry about it. So we're starting off with the first one, so 8 is currently the smallest. But now to actually make sure it's the smallest, I have to go through this and I have to check for each one of these, is that number going to be smaller than 8? And that sounds a lot like a loop, a for each loop actually. So I'm going to grab the for each loop. And I'm going to say the list that we're going through is numList or number list. That's whatever list we're putting inside of the function. And then for each of those items, what would be a good descriptor for each of these items as we go through it? I could say item is 8, item is 6, item is 90, item is 7, but I'd rather use a more descriptive word, so I'm going to say for each number in number list, the procedure goes here. So check if the number is smaller than the current smallest. So that looks something like this. If the current number is less than the current smallest, well, if our number that we're up to is less than the current smallest, then what I want to do is I want to update the current smallest so that it's equal to the number that we're currently on. Because if the number is less than the current smallest, like if 2, or I don't know, let's see, we're starting off with the current smallest being 8. The next time through the loop, 6 is smaller, so we should say current smallest is 6, that new number. Finally, let's see. As we go through this loop, we want to do this for each of them. When we're done doing that whole for each loop, let's display the current smallest. So I've got an algorithm that I think works here. Let's test it out. So I'm going to control click, open in browser, and nothing happens. And the reason why nothing happens is, right, when we're using a function, we need to call the function. We need to say do the function that we taught it. So let's try it with the first test case. Find smallest for the list 2, 6, 13. Save it, refresh our code, and it displays 2, which is the smallest. But that test case isn't sufficient, right? Because it starts off with the smallest. So let's try it where it ends with the smallest and see if it still works. Still works. And you can test some of the other cases. And then you can get your checkpoint. All right, for problem number 2, there is no video for this one, so pause the video here and do problem number 2. For problem number 3, it says complete each of the steps below. Add up all the numbers in this list without using a computer. Okay, so do that. Now that we're done doing it without a computer, let's see if we can invent a computer program that will do that for us. So I'm going to save this as problem3.html. I'm going to make the basic HTML structure. I'm going to import the expansion pack from here. I'm going to add my own script tags so we can start programming in JavaScript. And then next up, what we're going to do is we're going to try to define a new function, a new algorithm. So to do that, we go to our toolbox. We're grabbing the procedure or the syntax to create a new algorithm. We copy and paste that here. And this time what we're trying to do is we're trying to sum up all the numbers in a number list. So as I thought about that problem without using a computer, what I did was I kind of started off at 0. So start off at 0. So I'm going to say let answer equal 0. And then to add all these numbers up, basically what I did was I just went number by number and I said, okay, well you start with 12, then you 25, so that's 37, plus 2 is 39, plus 10 is 49. So again, it looks like we're going through this number by number. It looks like we're doing something for each of them. So we're going to go into our toolbox. We'll grab our for each loop, and we'll paste it in here. The list that we're going to loop through is that number list. And what we're going to do is for each number in this number list, so for each number in this number list, the thing that we're going to do is we're going to say the new value of answer should equal whatever the previous sum was, whatever the previous answer was, plus the current number. So the first time through, answer starts off as 0. Then we go into the number list, and for each number, so number is 12, we'll say answer is now equal to 0 plus 12. For the next one, answer is now equal to 12 plus the next number was 25. So I'm thinking that this should work. The final thing is after we go through each of the numbers, we should display our number. So display answer. All right, so let's test our code to see if it works. So I'm going to open it in the browser. And of course, nothing happens because to use our function, we have to call it. So I'm going to sum up a list of numbers that I know the answer to. I know that 1 plus 2 plus 3 should be 6. Let's see if it works. It is 6. I know that 2 plus 5 plus 3 should be 10. Let's see if that works as well. So we've got an algorithm that will sum up any number of numbers for us. And that's a pretty powerful idea. So make sure you get your checkpoint for checkpoint number 3. It says here, create an algorithm that finds the average of a list of numbers. So this one is actually going to be really similar to the last algorithm that we used, because if I think about finding the average of a list of numbers, it looks like you have to sum up those numbers, and then to find the average, you have to divide by the number of numbers. So let's see if we can program that. So new window, save, and then here problem4.html. I'm just going to copy and paste problem 3. I'm going to say that this function should be called findAverage. So I'm going to change this name to findAverage of a number list. Let the answer equal 0. Okay. And then what we're going to go through is we're going to add up each of the numbers as we go through it. So that sounds a lot like finding an average, right? If I were finding the average here, I'd add these all up. But now, before we display the answer, what we want to do is we want to take that answer and divide it by the number of numbers. So after adding up all of the numbers, we'll go answer is equal to answer divided by, how can we find the number of numbers in our list? Well, we talked about that actually. The number of numbers is the length of the list. So let's say that the answer is equal to the answer divided by the number list dot length. And now let's find some averages. So I'm going to start, we got messy, sorry. I'm going to start by finding the average of 95, 95, and 95. And that should be 95. So I'm going to open this in the browser. And nothing gets displayed. And the reason why nothing is displayed is because we forgot to display things. So we display the answer here. Let's give it a save and a refresh. The average is 95. Here, if we average 80, 85, and 90, that should give us, 85, the middle number, the average. Okay, so I think that there were 2 more problems I was hoping to get to today, but it might be a lot for us to get to all these problems. So I'm going to not make the video for these last 2 and take off these checkpoints. So these will be challenge questions. All right, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you in class.